All right, so in this video, I'm going to show you how we manage multiple projects. I've seen a lot of messages about how to manage multiple projects, and understandably, most people who are project managers tend to manage more than one project. But just to be clear for those who are not familiar with what we're doing here, Projectoolbox is an AI-enabled project management tool. Now, when it comes to artificial intelligence, whilst we deal with strategy and we currently work with organizations on implementation strategies and infrastructure, etc. One of the things we also offer is tools. So this specifically is a project tool that helps organizations deliver change. So quickly, let's look at what we've got here. So here we've got a few agents that have been spun up. AI agents are used in Projectoolbox to help you manage autonomously or semi-autonomously your project sort of needs and artifacts. Of course, I'm a very strong advocate, and in my book, The AI-Enabled Project Manager, I talk about this specifically, that with AI, we're going to have to work in a hybrid sort of manner. So humans would obviously take responsibility, while AI would help us with some of the mundane or the repetitive tasks. And that's basically what's happening here. So here we've got 4 agents, as you can see. 4 agents. Don't worry about the credits. That's more about the account. We've got Griffin, we've got Atlas, we've got Nova, and I believe we've got DCOM. So if the DCOM here is the 4th agent. And you can call the agent anything you want. It's not tied to, you can just decide to select any name, you call it Jason, whatever you prefer. Now, what's DCOM working on? It's working on a system decommissioning project. I just named it DCOM, just being lazy there, but couldn't think of anything creative. And what's Nova working on? It's working on a digital transformation initiative. How about Atlas? Atlas is looking at execution phase for a CRM migration. And then Griffin, for those who probably have seen any of my previous videos, you probably see Griffin is working on a family trip to Lagos. So I can do all of these things at the same time and manage these projects at the same time without having to deal with multiple different tools, etc. And because this is the sort of fleet overview, let's scroll down a little bit. Obviously, these are things around credits. I wouldn't waste too much time around that. Again, it's just more about if you're, what credits you're using, where your credits are going. But that would be if you're just registered on the account and you're using the account, etc. You can see the utilization. Done a lot of work with Griffin and Nova. Very little work with Atlas and DCOM in comparison. And you can just sort of see the other information around each of the agents. You can see the autonomy levels are level 2. So at the moment, what we're working with is mainly level 2. When you get to AGI, sort of, which would be very highly autonomous, whilst we've sort of graded it a little bit, or we've sort of broken down a little bit in Projectoolbox, where there is still some level of autonomousness, it still is very much human controlled. So level 2 is the optimum level that we currently would recommend. But yeah, we could deploy more agents as well. This is one of the key things. You could, if you had other projects going on, you could always deploy them, etc. And that gives you an idea of what the agents look like when you deploy them on different projects. Now, of course, you can always chat with each of these agents as well. For example, I was having a chat with DCOM. I was just sort of asking DCOM, what next? It says, I need your input to continue. What is the total project budget for this one? Because I had not put a figure when I was commissioning the project, or I was deploying the agent, I could probably just say 5,000, and I'll put GBP, and let's see what it comes back with. So it says thinking, and then we'll see what it comes back with. Of course, whilst that's doing what it's doing, I have Nova here, Atlas here, Griffin here. Now, the chat box, or this chat interface, is your that is your primary interface where you engage with your agent. Of course, these agents are very much trained in project management, and we're still doing a lot of training around it. So this is still ongoing. But what we can see here is it says, perfect, I've noted 5,000. Budget, next step, you have research findings waiting for approval. So something it did when I deployed the agent was that it set up some artifacts. I did some research around decommissioning based on what I had given to it, etc. And it has put some of that information for me to approve, which I can click there and going to approve. Of course, it has put all this information here. You can see what it has done. The project, just to give you a bit of an idea, is a system decommissioning project. So decommissioning infrastructure systems, etc. So it talks about there'll be, on here, it's giving me 8 facts extracted. Obviously, we use Perplexity as at the back end to help with the research with the agents. And it has put together some information that will be populated in your risk register. And it's put together some information here. I'm not going to try to go through everyone, all of it here. Just trying to show you how you can manage multiple projects, but just vetting a little bit of what it's provided, or at least just checking and reviewing. It talks about data loss risk rate. Data loss accounts for 35% of decommissioning failures. So again, it just was sort of giving me the general information. You will be as specific as you sort of provide context in terms of what you're doing. And of course, I'm sure if you're managing a real project, you will have more contextual information to provide to it. But anyway, so that if I approve that, it will then allow for it to move and create or do the next thing. But whilst that's going on, because this is about how we manage multiple projects, we can at the same time change. If you see the switch button here, we can switch a project. And let's go to another project. Let's go to the Digital Transformation Initiative, and let's go and see what's happening there. So you can see this project here says it's a comprehensive digital transformation initiative to modernize core business processes, integrate cloud-based solutions, and improve operational efficiency across all departments. It's level 2, of course. Like I said, just sort of stick to level 2 at this stage as we keep improving the application and the tool. So it's using a Scrum-based methodology. So the life cycle sort of goes between sprint 0, then we have the sprint cadence, and then, of course, the release. If you're familiar with Scrum, you might be familiar with some of these and the likes. It had created some artifacts which I've approved, which are all showing as approved here at the same time. And just to say, this is all ongoing at the same time, approving, doing the work, whilst other projects are ongoing. Let's try another project. Let's look at another one. Let's go to, I think the other one we saw was, let's go to execution phase. Let's see. So this one is using what we would say is the standard traditional project management approach, which has initiation planning. So if you're used to Project Management Institute's way of life cycle, which is initiation, planning, execution, monitoring and controlling, and closing, then that is the sort of life cycle it's using here. Of course, monitoring and controlling occurs at the same time as execution, so we haven't separated it as you might have in theory. Of course, theory is different from practical, but so this gives you an idea of the different projects. Of course, this project here was just created because I was trying to test some activities during the execution phase. Of course, this is still testing the tool. You can see the artifacts approved. But whilst on this project, let's just quickly go into, if you scroll down, you see there are a lot of features here. Quite a number of them. You can also access these features at the top here. You can look at the scope, WBS, tasks. You can see all the risk registers, all of that. They're all here, but you can also still scroll on the left. But what I was looking for was to try and just quickly look at the schedule. I think let's just pick one of them and look at. Of course, this project is currently at execution. So let's quickly look at the schedule, and you can see the execution. You can see the Gantt chart, and you can see the tasks and activities. Again, these are all just test activities we put in just based on the project. So again, you can just manage them together. If this was progressing, you can see that some of these activities are 100%. And where are we today? This is where we are. Of course, it means that we are behind with user acceptance, which should have finished on the 5th of June, which technically we can say that you can move that to 100%, assuming it's done. Of course, you want to make sure that it's done. You can mark that as a milestone, of course, and save changes. So you can see we've sort of completed that task, got into 100%, as you can see, or it's still showing 80%. So I still need to do a few things. It will probably tell me what I need to do to get it to 100%. Most likely it will be an approval of some sort. But it's very realistic in how it works. So where are we today? Today, which happens to be the 13th of June, our next is user training, which is supposed to be on Monday. And this is all fictitious, by the way, just for test purposes. It has nothing to do with real projects. There's some user training there. I've made up some of these tasks so you can just see them. Of course, in your own case, you're going to be using real projects. Yeah, and there's a lot of things to see, but just wanted to show you quickly how multiple projects are being managed at the same time. You can see that this project here I'm looking at project schedule, it's in execution on the same platform, on the same page. And I'm managing the other ones. Now, if I just wanted a quick look at what's happening with the other projects, I could click this dashboard here, or at least this banner here, and then you can see Atlas. You can see where Atlas is, the scanning execution progress, trying to get itself to the next phase. We can see the decom. You can click on that and see where we are. It says writing sprint 0 documents, generating 9 artifacts for sprint 0 already exists. So it's sort of giving me an idea of where they are or where it is with that with that project. How about the family trip to Lagos? I haven't touched this one in a while, but it's still in planning. So it says writing planning phase documents ready in 60 seconds. I'm sure if I went to that one, I would see the documents ready for me to approve. So there's a lot of talk around project management, and we're going to go through some of these. Just keep an eye out. I try to release videos as often as I can. Obviously, I have a busy sort of schedule in terms of working with clients and working with organizations on improving, embedding AI into their work processes. So overall, this is something that will build up, and I don't always have the videos or release the videos every every day or every week. But I'll try to touch on all of these ones as much as I can. Overall, I think the question is, there's a lot of talk about AI, and some people claim it's hype. It's not hype because it's going to change how we work as people. And whether you're in project management, whether you're in contract management, or any of the other organizations or any workplace or work that you do, it's going to revolutionize it. And enough of the sound bites. We want to see action, and this is action. This is project management, a project management tool that uses AI to reduce the amount of time and effort it would take. And in many cases, you would get a huge return on investment as an organization because you'd need to hire, or you'd not need to hire as many project managers to deliver your projects. Now, somebody would say, well, are you taking away jobs from project managers? Probably not. It's just you as someone who manages organizations or projects or programs or portfolios, you're just going to need to upskill. And in many cases, it just means that the organization can manage 100 projects with 20 project managers rather than having, 100 projects with 90 project managers, if that makes sense. And I think that's where AI is going to add value. And those who jump in front of the bandwagon as quickly as possible are those who are going to be equipped for where the future is taking us. But this is another video with Projectoolbox. I'll try to get another one in as soon as possible to show you a few other things. It can do quite a number of things. Still definitely in beta, so if you have access to it, just bear with us in terms of bugs. We're trying to fix as many bugs as we can. But this is sort of gives you an idea of what it can do, and it can do a lot more, which we'll see on other videos. But depending on where you're watching this, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Ciao.